Talk about a time-starved marriage. Boy, this is why we wrote the book, right?
Yeah, that's right, because we recognize so many of us as couples live with this kind of time-starved marriage syndrome.
Right, and you know, I can be as guilty as your husband. It's easy to get caught up in work projects and so forth, and they just eat up your family time. You have to really be disciplined about not allowing work to do that.
Yeah, and I think, you know, one of the most important things about that concept is trying to find the moments we've been missing out on to reconnect. And sometimes you can't change your lifestyle radically, but you can find these little missing pockets of time.
Right, but if it is a kind of a chronic thing, and he is giving so much of his time to work. In fact, I was counseling a couple just this very week where it was the woman, and she just loved her job, and she was putting in these crazy long hours. And she just realized, at the end of my life, do I want to look back and say, boy, I'm so glad I worked so hard? And she realized, no, that was a wake-up call for her. And so it's a matter of
bringing insight, isn't it? Because
Absolutely.
It doesn't really work to nag. Once you begin to put demands on someone to stay home, then emotionally it becomes draining. It's not something they feel free to choose as a relaxation. They feel obligated as a duty, and you don't want to create that dynamic.
Right, so if it's a chronic thing, it's time to kind of reevaluate life.
And I love it that you said that, if it's chronic, because everybody has times where their life gets out of balance for circumstantial reasons, and sometimes
that's different. That's when you can see the light at the end of the tunnel. And
even though you might not choose it, it's time limited. But when it's chronic, you have to address it.
Right. So anyway, a few quick tips on what do you do. You got a workaholic spouse. What can you do?
Well, one of the things you need to do is let them know you're missing them, that it's making you feel sad, that there are moments that are happening where their presence was deeply missed.
To let them know how you feel, that it's not just, oh, we wish you were here, but we're managing without you. No, it really is impacting us, and we feel it at a heart level. So that's one thing.
Yeah, and to make it, that sadness is a key rather than the edge of anger, because that can be what comes across.
Well, and when that happens, it drives them further to work. Why would I want to come home to this? You know, I don't need this. That's what's driving me to work.
What else can they do?
Well, another thing I believe is just to set up some little practices, some little rituals, and it's kind of what we call just mining your gold mine of time. And these are places, for example, you might have a ritual after you have dinner. Maybe it's a late night dinner because of his work schedule, but you know you're going to have about 10 or 15 minutes together where you're not, you know, being kind of hassled with kid issues and whatever. It's just your time to reconnect. Those little rituals, we sometimes talk about cutting grooves into our marriage, and that's one.
And planning your time in advance. Get yourself on the calendar. Realize that what's urgent and what's prescribed on that calendar is what gets attention. And so don't wait for just the empty open space for time together. Get yourself written in. Plan a babysitter, schedule a time, buy tickets to an event, and get it on the calendar, because that creates a moment.
Be proactive instead of just complaining about it. Well, a few tips. Hope that helps.